Yo, yo, yo. Y'all already know. And for those who don't know, it's the mayor, man. Big Birmingham, Alabama representing. You know what I'm saying? Big Birmingham representing, however you want to put it. Before somebody said, oh, he said representing. but man, I'm just sitting up and I'm gonna start calling it the think tank. This the birth of the think tank. And the think tank, man. And the think tank today, man. I just like I'm still on what I was on, the last video, man. People, and I just throughout my real life, daily life, this is just something that really I find stuff to watch. Really, just to go to sleep and in between time through the day, if I click something, depending on who it is, I watch it during the day. But other than that, I really don't. But as I do go through different, content on him, like I said, it's always somebody hating or to the haters or, I ain't, I don't, that word don't even, feel right or coming out, you know what I'm saying, me speaking it. It's just certain things I can really say I haven't used, certain words much in my life, like jealousy or envy or something like that, because I don't know how to do that. I don't know how that feels. But if I see the next man or person moving up in life, I'm gonna applaud that. I'm gonna applaud that. I always been that type of person because that's how I was bred. That cloth is still out here, but it's on its last threads. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's a few, very few that I've, channels that I got familiar with, and that's of that cloth. And, it's some newer than others. It's one out. Shout out to my guy, my big homie, Unique Mech Audio up there in New York. You know what I'm saying? Y'all check him out. Unique Mech Audio. Y'all already don't know. He a guy. What I like about him, when he jumped on this YouTube, he gave people access. He reminded me of something to the level of just a person not being too high and that the people can't have access to him. You know what I'm saying? Now, I understand why you shouldn't do that, but you built a certain kind of way you can do things that other folks can't do. It's just different people have different abilities. A lot of people say, why would I put my number up here and then just get people playing on your phone, stuff like that. People play on him. Come with the territory. You just gotta know how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And if you ain't of that caliber, then yeah, I get it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people conjure up or think negative for it come and their brain's negative. You know what I'm saying? Because you're already looking for it. But I like / love what Unique Mech Audio do, because he gonna give it to you from two standpoints, with social media is thinking, and he gonna give it to you from how he thinks. And then he gonna turn around and not even give you the third option, but give you the third option. Hey, look, how you think directly as an independent person. But he don't run or even bash people for giving their opinions of how they feel. He'll sit down and have a conversation with them. You know what I'm saying? And I haven't seen nobody jump on this man's platform yet and just blatantly disrespect him. So that's why I give him a big shout out. And me and him been, in communication now going on like 4 or 5, maybe 5 years. He did 26, and straight 26 years straight in the Fed. You know what I'm saying? And got a break and got to come home. You know what I'm saying? But he's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's a good person to look at as a mentor, because he gonna tell you straight up, if this how we did it, this is perspective, but if you on this line, like they say, he'll say, I would do this, that, this. And if you think something wrong with me thinking this way, you're on the right side, because that's not the right side. That's the, you know, the illegal side. This is the civilian side, as he would say, you know. And that's another thing that gained my respect for him, you know. But the more and more I venture out, and the more and more different, you know, content creators come along and create a lane for themselves, and salute to anybody that try to create a lane for themselves, you know, and feed their family, or pay their bills. I don't knock it, period. But you know, I just be on like, why is more negative than positive out there? That's all. You know, and certain things, you know, even the negative I can understand, you know, but I was just taught it can't be for nothing. It gotta have something. You can't just tell me no anything. You know, when you children, you know, when little, and you be like, why you do this? And they say, I don't know. You know, it ain't no I don't know. You know, we weren't allowed with, you know, to come with the own. Why you do that to that dude, or why you do that to that? I don't know. It wasn't no. You had to have an answer. You better have a reason, and that's because you got a reason. Don't mean it's a good one, but you got a reason. You see what I'm saying? And the world operated on that type of time. You know, now, you know, in today's time, it's just because I feel like it. Because I'm me. Right is wrong, wrong is right because I'm me. You know, and, you know, these YouTube, you know, as they say, streets, it's, you know, it's a different kind of competitive. You know, well, my competitor, even if I'm losing, I'm gonna salute your game. You know what I'm saying? If this say playing basketball, and I'm down, and you a good player, I'm gonna salute your game. I'm gonna shake your hand. You know what I'm saying? So well now, you know, people don't even want to shake from, you know, people hand. You know, if you lost, cause, you know, but you don't. A loss, man. Sometimes a loss is better than a win because you learn more in that loss. You know, but it's like don't nobody want to lose no more, and didn't nobody want to lose back then, but they knew how to lose with grace. Again, people knew how to lose with grace. Today, people want to win with this disgrace. You know, so it's just mind-boggling to me. But you know, at the end of the day, man, you know, I'm me, and whoever, you know what I'm saying. But you know, I do see, you know, good people, you know what I'm saying, of good caliber out there. Just like I said, it's so few of us now. You got to have a gimmick. You got to be down talking to somebody to be moving or getting numbers in this right here. You know, and the reason I don't have as much content, I can come up with content. I can come up with content every day. You know, I be around content every day. You know what I'm saying? I just choose not to shine a certain light. I choose not to shine any kind of light on something that ain't, you know, got no principles or morals or no purpose. Just to shine a light on somebody else, you know, to put me in a light, to pick me up, but to put them down. You know, it was an old saying that said, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. And that's how I go with this right here, you know, because as it was broke down to me, what you hear by the time it get to your ears, it better go have some truth in it. What you see is what you see, but the only 50% of it, you know, it could be what you think it is, but you don't have the whole story just because you see, you know, you can see somebody put their hands on somebody, and it may be a man putting his hand on a woman. Just getting an example, I don't condone this. A man putting his hand on a smaller man, and I'm not gonna use a woman. Man putting his hand on another man, then you may know this guy. When this person around you, he don't do certain things. He lay back. He a good guy to you, and then you run up on, and man, hold up, you know, to help the guy stop whatever, and you find out this guy that did some that's dishonorable. How can you defend that? You know what I'm saying? Just because they ain't showed it to you don't mean that. You feel me? I had to learn that through life, you know, at a young age. It didn't take this long. I've been, you know, but it just, the more and more I see on here, man, like the you know, the booster would, you know, leaving, you know, Vlad, decide not to do Vlad because he wanted more money. doing numbers. Everybody putting on their channel. The Pooh Shiesty and Gucci, they put it on their channel. They talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. They can't do nothing without miss. If everything was to start going high, at least how it used to go, closer like to the 80s. I ain't even said the early 90s. And it ain't that it wasn't stuff going on in the 80s or the 90s. It just was structure. You know, they said, man, my children, they said to me before that it was like this and like that. Y'all was doing this and like that, but I'll tell them quick, it wasn't like this. You know, I'm from the generation when they started giving teenagers, 14 years old, 15 years old, start giving them life, charging them as adults, giving them, football numbers, just I'm from that generation, um, man, I'm from that generation where, you didn't know how bad it was because it was so much love around it. Love included, teaching you right and wrong. Love included doing right and not doing wrong, to the best of your ability. You know what I'm saying? But you had a moral compass. To where now it's like, man, people don't even care how they make the next person look. You know what I'm saying? Just say back in the day, I could bring somebody to a party or a side of town or they hanging with me. They knew not to, people knew not to do certain things while you with a certain person, with a person or whatever. You didn't want to make that person look bad, basically. There's an old saying, the elders used to say, your grandma, your mama back then, don't go out this house acting like you ain't got no home training. Meaning you represented the whole house. What you do and how you act make them look at the whole family a certain way. Your little sister could be coming up behind you and y'all got the same last name, or little brother. They automatically put a label on you, a tag on you, or they gonna be a troublemaker. And you could be a good child. I done seen that. Growing up and coming up. You could be that, we had the ones that, hey, there's a lot of them, don't mess with them because they come in this kind of way, but they good people. You know what I'm saying? We had those too. But back to what I was saying, and still on subject, but I'm just using different examples, is, man, I don't get it. Well, I can't, as I do, salute the next man, and it's not, or to salute the next person, next man, woman, even kids, you know what I'm saying? And it be a problem, but just the next man or woman, adults, and some kind of way, it's a misunderstanding, pull it out of thin air. What happened to the day where people sign in with, hey, what that was about in a manly fashion? They'll rather say, somebody hating on them. It's a new saying now that they been using. Back in the day, man, I used to laugh at people because I actually encountered this. People be one way on one side of town, then go back to their side of town, or go to their side of town. Like over here, you a hero, you looked at it as somebody, but you go over here, back to where you from, you got people slap you upside the back of the head and don't respect you, and sitting on your car and speaking to just all type of disrespect. But over here, and it used to be kind of funny but sad to me because people will sit around people or be around people and they're actually living the life they're saying, walking the walk and talking the talk. And they have a certain person around them and you get around and run into this person on this side of town and you hear the things they're saying and you be like, man, he don't do that. She don't do that. They don't do that. Or they act like such and such. They, they call it style biting or fake breaking. You didn't get away with that back then, man. And just now it's praised, it's applauded to. Half of these people, man, I respect this. I respect the small up and coming, people more than the big ones. because you get to see their journey and then they're more genuine. So that's why you have seen me, shout out certain people. Not that my shout out mean anything, but if it do mean something to them, to the ones that it do mean something to, it come from a good place. And that if if I could and if I can, if that's all I can do, shout you out, and that helps, I'm gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully that motivate, to keep going and keep going, and I'm enough to say, man, I'm gonna go a little harder. And that's all I ask for back. You know what I'm saying? Just be genuine, you know. But, I'm gonna end on that note, you know what I'm saying? Cause I know this ain't rah rah rah, this, and if this person, if that person. I done gave my take on the Gucci and Pooh Shiesty type thing, and it was just speaking on that. I done gave my take, on, I just said the other one, whatever the other one was that people just squeezing, bleeding to try to get, views and, but guess what? Every time I give what I said is just, like I said, my opinion. Everybody got one. You can't get mad at nobody for having one. One thing about this state that we don't, this country that we live in, we do have the privilege of freedom of speech. But nowadays, again, the old saying, sticks and stones will break your bone, but words will never hurt. People get more touched by somebody saying something to them, but then they get more, vengeful and vindictive and building petty from somebody saying something about them than they is somebody touching them. You touch them, they be more scared of that. They be more scared of you touching them, and they get more angrier just from you saying something to them. And it could be constructive criticism. I don't get into none of that. I just, hey man, if I see a piece of something in an hour video that I like, I'm just focused on that. Pull that jewel. That's how we would talk. Pull, you got to pull the message out of the mess. But people just, I don't want the message. I just want the mess. And this is where it came to, man. But anyway, just a small little segment I might continue. We call it the think tank. But at the end of the day, this coming from Birmingham, Alabama, brought to you by the mayor. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, salute to everybody that's trying to get there. You go get there. Keep going.